Hey, Phil here again. Yeah, we were going to fish the headland further out, but we arrived pre-dawn and there were like I think 7 guys that turned up in one group. Anyway, so we're fishing a bit further in, still casting into the same water, just chucking some 85 gram metals, singling lines, bit of wire, 59 pound single strand. Anyway, I'll give it a few casts here. I guess the thing is, if you've got a rod and a reel that can cast a long way, you can be, on a rock that's not that, great, but where your lure's landing still in good water. So plenty of bait around, mullet are schooling, maybe some ludrig schooling as well, and no crowds. Anyway, see how we go. And I was just thinking, the deeper water's out there with the currents racing past. The bait, however, is all tucked in behind the reef at the back of the headland, and this shallow sandy water, or it looks shallow and sandy, is actually where the bait's hanging out. And so the pelagics, i.e. bluefin tuna, longtail tuna, are going to come here to feed. They're not necessarily going to be on the spot where everyone thinks they're going to be. So we're just going to hang in here until the high tide, which is in a couple of hours. And we've had a few bait balls come through with bonito on them, and we think we saw one little pot of blues come through. Got a nice crane jig rigged up here, and I've got another rod with a metal around the corner. And so we're just going to hang here, have something to eat, get the trangie out, beautiful place to hang out, and just keep watching the water and see what's coming through. I'm high enough now, I can Polaroid pretty well and see what's happening out there. Tucked in behind, there's a school of bait right there. There's a very famous headland. Here's us, and there's a school of bait. Check it out. That is all pilchards. And we just had a couple of bluefin bust up further. Here it comes. Anything could happen right now. So we'll see. See what happens. It's impossible to sight cast at that headland around there. The water's just too deep. So you need this shallower sandy bottom to be able to see the fish as they come through, and then sort of try and put a cast in the direction they're travelling. So as the tide comes up, and we know there's bait in here, we've seen bait balls, pillies come through. There's fish out there now, I think they're bonito. We'll start casting at anything I can sort of Polaroid over the sand. Around the corner there, you just got to keep pelting it. Here, however, you can sort of wait and watch. Get the trangie out and cook up some noodles in a sec. It's time for the trangia and some noodles, except we have a match problem. Anyway, it's a methane based if you ever use a trangia. Very light, easy to carry. It even comes with its own little kettle if Shano can get the match lid. Now, he tells me he did Army Reserve and all that as a kid, and I suggested I'd bring my flint, but nah, we'll see. Are you serious? How many matches you got?
I've got a few.
Oh, we could have a match problem here. I was going to bring the flint that works in all. In the end, we got our noodles, and Shano, well, he got his bonito. 18, 20 kilo northern, cruised through in about 2 meters of water here. I literally landed the ice cream jig on its head in front of it, and I actually got him interested right at the end when I went really quick and skidded it like a gari. But yeah, we're just picking up fish over this sandy bottom.
Here's some more, yep, here comes some more. Oh, did a massive U-turn. Did you see that? They did a massive U-turn.
Well, 2 meters of sandy bottom, and Pete and myself have been sight casting at solid bluefin that are not small fish. They're maybe 18, 20 kg fish. They're all single fish, and they're just coming along this sand edge. We're picking up bird action or the odd bait blow up at that far point, and the bluefin are literally tracking the whole way along the coast here in about 2 meters of water. And we've thrown all sorts at them. Dropped an ice cream jig on the head of one a little while ago. It sort of looked interested. So I'm going to go to a mid-water sort of stick bait, and I've gone down to a small flat-faced metal just to try and interest them. Apparently single fish aren't that active, you know, there's no competition, so, but they're certainly here. Quite interesting, very, very interesting day. The sun's at about 11 in the morning now, so the angle's good. We're picking the fish up pretty early. We're picking up the black dots, maybe 100, 150 away, and then sort of trying to get a cast in front of them, but not on top of them if possible. Mind you, excitement does get the better of you when you've got a big fish in front of you.
After an exciting but incredibly frustrating morning of lure casting, I decided to spend the Arvo session round at the main point now that the crowds were gone, and Pete, unfortunately, he had to make the long drive back to Sydney.
Just very late season, water's still warm. Just had a sort of a norwesterly come through, so just hanging here. Might go out and start casting in a bit. The tide's just gone high, no one else around, so see how we go. Got all the gear ready. Got a pretty sizable 85 gram metal, smaller metal. Got the ice cream jig ready. Just chilling here out of the wind. Just enjoying the serenity. Show you this little window here. We've got a southerly around the corner, sort of southwester. It's glassed out just here. Sun setting over here, and just this little window here. We are singing the blues. That little fella, but he went well. And absolutely hammered that ice cream, just blind casting. You know, not as much fun as sight casting for sure, but geez, still good fun when you hook them. No, he's probably about I don't know, 12 kilo fish, something like that, low teens. I'll switch the camera around by myself here. It was fun landing it. I sort of dragged him halfway up and then sort of beached him and then got the gaff. I hooked him out on on that patch of water just there. So it's sort of choppy around here to the left, choppy around to the right, which is south. Just that real glassy bit there. I just thought, yeah, that looks good. The jig looked really good. You can see there's a bird out there now, so I'm going to keep casting to this area here. A bit of fun landing a bluefin by yourself. So I dragged him halfway up that gap and then gaffed him sort of halfway. But yeah, 60-pound leader certainly helped, and a bit of double in my my braid. Fish on the rocks, you beauty. Okay, so what started out as a mission in autumn, still autumn, and I finally sung the blues. So he's got a nice fish. Perseverance pays off, I believe. That's what they say. It's funny, I was getting nothing, and the moment it went offshore and a bit glassy, the ice cream jig that I was using just seemed to work better in the water, and this guy just exploded all over it out of nowhere. There was the odd turn poking around in the last 15-20 minutes, so it's obviously bait there. I just couldn't see it. Turns knew where it was, and there's obviously blues around, so pretty stoked. Finally, after a few near misses and frustrating casting at fish I could see that weren't interested, this guy just hit me out of the blue, which is probably the most common way of doing it. So by myself on the rocks, and yeah, if you're wondering what tackle I'm using a high-speed Saltiga. It's an older model, 4500H. I think I've got about 89 pound braid on there, believe it or not. It doesn't look it, but it is 89 pound, which I like to use when I'm fishing alone, so I can really, pull a fish in hard, control it. And then I've just got my ice cream jig, 60 pound leader, probably could go to 80s fishing alone. I'm using like about, I don't know, 2.5 meters of that, and then a bit of a bimini double there, just for knot strength to the leader. Knots are nothing flash. I'm just using a double uni knot. It's what I've always used. I've hooked heaps of marlin with double uni knots. They're a bit clunky, but I've never actually lost a fish because of a double uni knot ever. So, and I use a bimini twist in all my rigging. Yeah. I used to use plats, but no, just use biminis. They've never let me down once. The only thing that ever lets me down is my own ineptitude fighting fish. Goshi gave me this jig, so it's a slim minnow, I think they call it. Nice little jig, and yeah, hooked up nicely. So the afternoon's getting on now. The water still looks like. Every time I get a decent fish here, I love putting them in this little crack here, because I think that's a pretty famous little fish storage spot. Maybe not longtails in the famous movie, but certainly some good mackerel have graced that crack in the rocks over many years. So it's good in the afternoon sun. Your fish is in the shade, so makes sense. Alright, the time has come to walk out, and yeah, my pack's a bit heavier than when I came in, but that's alright. That's what we want, isn't it? So I've decided to keep the fish whole. I'll cut it up when I get back there. I've got no plastic bags other than one around its head, and it's sort of bleeding out of the mouth, but it should pick up most of the blood. If I cut the fillets up, I'll have blood everywhere, so we'll just we'll unsqueeze the orange when we get back. Okay, here we go. Happy days. This bit of track pretty well. On here, on these arms. Always keep an eye out for snakes, just in case. Flat, not too bad here. Beautiful afternoon. Early winter North Coast. I think the Blues are going to go deep into winter this year. Okay, so 4 days on the rocks. This is what a fisherman's car should look like. I mean, a lot of chaos here. Swags, buckets, gaffs, rods, eskies, haversacks, wet shoes. So I've sort of hit the lower mid-north coast. It's been 4 days here. I've spun hard, spun big metals, 125s with wire for mackerel, water looked good. Big sinks, fast off the bottom. I feel like I've done a pretty decent effort. So I'm now going to head north, up to just north of Coffs. Probably target some mulloway on lures, and then I'll again do some sight casting for blues. So I've got the spot in mind, so we'll see you then.
Hi, Phil here. I hope you enjoyed my quest for a long-tailed tuna off the rocks on the North Coast. It sure was a lot of work with a lot of near misses. Anyway, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to Phil Atkinson Fishing. It's a small thing, it costs you nothing, but it makes a world of difference to me. Ciao.